first interaction with water that you remember?
Yeah. So my first interaction with water was at our family fish camp that I can remember, and it's in Jingekluak in the Shaktoolik River. Jingekluwami Inuruktunga is where my worldview was built up with our family, with grandma, your great grandma Lucy, your grandma Teresa, and late Uncle Floyd Sakpiluk, and different relations that had important positionality with sharing space and processing indigenous foods and subsisting and gathering foods. We would do. We would catch pink salmon for making dry fish for the families, and we would gather herring in the ocean in Norton Bay. And there's different kinds of fish and salmon we would gather. But I was definitely fond of catching trout in early spring and early summer.
So your relation with water growing up, or your first interaction would be there?
Yeah.
Okay. How has water affected you at any point in your life? Or up to any point?
Well, water is an important part of our ecosystem. And so when you're gonna have something to drink, naturally you're going to need a lot more water to drink every day, and it's a sign of health when the water can support the wildlife within the ecosystem, the birds, the fish, and the bears, and everything that's living within you, within your environment with you, within your proximity.
So the clean water would help the plant life or wildlife?
Yes.
When you think about your relationship to water, who has influenced it the most? Water itself, people, animals, or other? Like relatives or something?
So within the positionality of our ecosystem, the people are the knowledge holders, and traditional oral knowledge is the way of passing down our survival histories and our knowledge of what is good to eat and places to go to gather food at different points of the season. So we're a very people-based culture, but we respect and rely on the animals within the environment too. We're not more important than each other, and our indigenous knowledge is within the community. We have different positionalities where we're meant to be to handle different foods and medicines, and there is not one indigenous knowledge that's more powerful than one another.
So your relationship with water is influenced by all those things?
All
plants,
those things.
Animals,
Mm-hmm.
people? Okay. Do you feel connected to the Puget Sound now that you live here or have grown up beside it? Is there a specific place that you felt connected to, like while you were staying here?
Yes, when I was going to Northwest Indian College in the Lummi Nation tribe, I was invited to different cultural events down at the Stommish Grounds, which is right next to their point of access to the bay. With the different college courses, they would take us out boating into the bay to take part in different science classes of increasing our capacity for indigenous knowledge within science. And so they were great allies to helping different tribes build up their indigenous knowledge and adapt it to modern times. So I look at them as wonderful leaders for education.
So by learning at the Northwest Indian College, you've grown more attached to the water here, learned more about it, and to the people who are raised by the water here,
Mm-hmm.
like the First Peoples.
Yeah, I learned a lot about diversity of the capacity of the indigenous people in Lummi, and I did study their treaty law and how it ties into their rights within fishing and being in proximity to the water. And I learned that how they speak for their indigenous knowledge and connection to the water and place provides for powerful policy making that Lummi Nation takes very seriously in tribal governing.
Okay. What is your favorite way to connect to water? Like boating, fishing, just drinking water, swimming, kayaking, canoeing?
Yeah, in our interactions, it's normal to be, riding on it and to be swimming in it, and to take a steam to have the steam from the water help cleanse your body even more. So there's multiple ways that we rely on using water, and so also in springtime it's important to be interacting near water because a lot of wild foods actually grow near the water.
Like what wild foods would you know of that grow near the water?
Between Washington and Alaska, it's they have wild green onions that are located near the water that people harvest, and they can have wild parsley and wild celery and different indigenous foods that people have used for time immemorial.
What events have you participated that interacted with water?
The First Salmon Ceremony in the Lummi Nation, we were able to be invited to that event, and that is a ceremony that Lummi Nation usually partakes in annually, where a salmon is gathered from the river, Nooksack River, near their community, and those salmon exist because of the quality management of fisheries and the hatchery that they maintain. But within that, they have a song and singing ceremony that takes place, and a sharing of the salmon and native food is a native food that they share there.
What else is there that you would like to explain the experience with the community, the indigenous community of, what would you call them again? Or what would their tribal name be?
Lummi Nation.
Yes, Lummi Nation.
Yeah. So the Lummi Nation helped me to relate to my relations, because we talked about how we're related to different people through different tribes near our communities. Those people have, through the communities here in Washington, have different positions of different locations of whether it's fresh flowing water or salt water. They all have different connections to water and different means of processing and handling foods, and the way that water moves through their community is going to look different and unique.
Have you been to any large scale events that involved water, like say past events, like other big things that were very apparently problematic with water?
Oh, there was an event where a group of people were protesting the movement of an oil platform, an oil rig in Bellevue or Bellingham, Washington, and there was a young lady who went and chained herself to a ship to keep that ship from moving, and she she did that, put herself in harm's way to try to speak up and bring attention to the risk of oil development on indigenous waterways, that it has a strong impact on the ecosystem and the waterfowl and wildlife that relies on the waterways.
How was that person? Like, is that person okay after what happened, that event?
Oh yes, she was perfectly fine after that event, and I was able to connect with her while I was working on my master's at the Evergreen State College, and she did attend for a similar master's degree at Evergreen, and she's doing well, and she's doing great things still today to advocate and help Indigenous people raise their voices for rights and water rights.
That's great. That's great. Well, first of all, thank you for telling me about these many stories.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me. Kuyana Paksuli. Thank you.